Yeah, then we started taking steps to enforce the discipline in the factory. There were lots of misconducts on which the actions were not taken.
Hmm.
And there was a pin drop silence in the factory. And then the next day we started frisking. And there
Hmm.
was no opposition then. I always believed to have the people in my team who are smarter than me. Because, if you get the people, who would only listen to you and who will not question you, your growth will not happen, their growth will not happen, the company also will not.
Thank you so much, audience, once again on this rather to this heart-to-heart conversation. Yet another serving of heart-to-heart conversation. And here we have got with us a person who was kind enough to come for the first heart-to-heart conversation, which happened a few weeks ago. And I must share with all of you that, and thanks to you, that this video, this conversational video, was one of the most widely seen videos. More than 500 people have seen it, and they're all organic viewers. You know what it means is that they're all coming from real life HR background, CEOs, CHROs. And then I didn't have any other option. Of course, I knew that it's going to happen. I had also made a commitment about this in the first conversation itself, that we shall have this second round of conversation as well. I'm so grateful to Shirish Kulkarni sir for having agreed for the second round of conversation. And in this conversation, we're going to talk about two things which we couldn't take time out for in the first conversation. First is health. We'll talk about proactive health. And of course, I'll also share something from my side, because I've got something which I think people are going to find interesting. And then we'll take up the second subject, which is all about employee relations. This video is something which every HR and industrial relations, especially professionals, must watch, because we are going to talk to Mr. Shirish Kulkarni, who has been the director of KSB Ltd for 17 years, till recent times, till a few months ago. And before that, he has been leading IR and HR in many multinational companies. And as we all know that in IR, there are hardly any books, sir. Of course, in HR, there are a lot of books and a lot of strategies and performance management and this and that. But IR is all about situational. I think this is the best way of leading as per situational leadership practices, which people talk about, because it's all about the moment. And that's the reason I think there is no book on this subject. And probably, of course, with Shirish Kulkarni sir being in this field, he is a senior HR consultant now. We do hope that some books will come so that this can keep on inspiring generations.
Sure.
But till that happen, here is Shirish Kulkarni sir with us, for us, and by us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on this beautiful morning. So, coming to employee relations, because last time in the last conversation, you shared one real life incident, one real life development as you handled it. And I knew that we are talking to somebody who actually is literally sitting on a treasure, on a kind of pile of treasure, where there are so many inspiring, so many experiences which are there. And there is no book on this, as I said. So I'm pretty sure now onwards, I think it's going to be even more useful for IR professionals who are looking for some employee relations experiences. So what do you, sir? Would you like to share one incident, and then we'll one development, and then we'll go to the second one? Yeah.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you.
I was working with a Swedish multinational. I
Yeah.
do not want to name the company
Yeah,
now
I will not name. Yeah,
because,
yeah, yeah.
I'll be sharing few things.
Yeah.
Uh, so now this Swedish MNC, it's in Pune, I can tell you that. And when the consultant approached me, for this particular role, it was heading HR for a big facility of more than 2,000 people as such.
Right.
And so when he approached, I was a little bit hesitant because uh, like everyone knew that this company has a very strong and dominant and notorious union. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, then the work culture was highly unproductive. Uh, okay, and there were so many things actually. A lot of people, in fact, advised me not to join this company. Okay, but it was a what should I say? The career growth opportunity for me.
Yeah.
And I said, why not take this opportunity?
Yeah. Yeah.
During the meeting with the managing director, I frankly shared with him that people are advising me not to join the company because
I
the
know.
situation is quite bad and all that.
I can fully correlate.
So,
Yes, sir.
so he said, okay, he had joined, he had taken over the role of a MD just about 6 months ago or so. And then he said, I'm in the process of, making the change.
Yeah.
And in all the areas. And then HR is a very important area. And then he said, rest assured that you will have all the empowerment. So whatever
Ah.
you do, you are free to do. So
Wow. Wow.
I
Wow.
said, okay.
Wow.
So that was very important. So then I decided to join the company. So when I joined the company, first of all, on the first day itself, my colleagues told me, my team members told me that a lot of HR heads had left during the short period of time. So probably you may like to, change the direction of the table, you know. Uh, I said, I mean, I don't believe in all this. Okay. And I said, let it be in the same direction and then let's see like what happens. So,
Wow. Wow. That's also emotional, mental, yeah, strength. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, then, like I had some kind of a reputation of dealing with the unions. And this particular union leader, he gave a boycott. He gave the boycott call from that. Let's boycott this new HR head and then we are not going to talk to him. Okay. So I said, fine. I mean, that gave me some time to study the situation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another challenge becoming an opportunity.
Exactly. Exactly. So what I observed was this: the work culture was highly unproductive. There were
Hmm.
lots of wastages and inefficiencies in the processes.
Hmm.
Uh, then the simple things like there was no frisking while entering the factory, right?
Hmm.
The employee cost was very high. Then lots of people, I mean, were fed up and leaving the organization. The attrition was high.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, so this was the situation. I said, okay, I mean, we need to change this situation now and we need to start slowly. So first of all, the first and foremost thing which I did was like building the right team. Okay. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay, so that process was simultaneous. And then the union had given the boycott call, but then sub union has to come to the HR head. I mean, they cannot escape HR head. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then they came to me after 2 months and they had some demand. Okay.
Okay.
So which was not possible to accept. So I told them flatly, it's not possible to accept, and then we cannot do anything about it. So the union leader got angry. I mean, he had his own reputation, and he said, "Do you know what will happen actually if you don't accept the demand? I'll stop the work, okay, uh, and like I'll create a lot of nuisance and all that."
Hmm. Hmm.
And then again he asked me, "Have you asked MD? Like because this answer of yours is going to create a trouble in the factory. So have you informed MD?" I said, "I don't need to inform anyone. I'm telling you right now that it's not possible to accept this demand."
Hmm. Hmm.
And like a very funny thing happened. He started trembling. Okay, because till that time he was used to give only the threats, and he had
Ah.
never executed the threat.
Ah. 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 Ah.
Okay. So then he started telling his colleagues, "देखो ये कैसे बात कर रहा है," and all that. And then he literally started trembling. I said, "तुम शांत हो जाओ, तुम्हारा BP बढ़ रहा है." Okay. Then
Hmm.
got up, gave him the glass of water. Okay. So that was the first interaction with the union, and which was very important actually.
Very important.
Then we started taking steps to enforce the discipline in the factory. There were lots of misconducts on which the actions were not taken.
Hmm.
Right? Because the managers had the fear whether they will be supported or not, right? And the best way to survive in the company was to be friends with the union, right?
Hmm.
So that was the kind of situation. But then we said we need to, implement we need to enforce the discipline ruthlessly. So first of all, I started getting the consensus of the all the managers as to why we need to take the actions and all that.
Hmm.
because it was very important to build their confidence.
Yeah.
Which took some time, and then we started taking disciplines, and then we said, okay, I mean, nothing, none of the misconducts will be tolerated as such.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, then there were instances where the wrong time bookings were done. Okay. Like
Hmm.
workmen do the job, they need to book the time. So wrong time bookings were done. Like for example,
Yeah.
they used to overstay in the canteen and come back late for the work, and then cover up that by wrong time booking and all that, which is
Uh,
then they were not allowing the company to frisk
hmm.
at the
Oh.
gate. Okay. And so we said, okay, we need to have some plan and all that. And then I had a very dynamic team member, and who was very passionate. And then he said, "नहीं, ये कब तक चलते रहेगा? I mean, we need to do something." And then we had the
Yeah.
information that like people consume the workmen. Some of the workmen consume alcohol during the night shift. Okay.
Hmm.
So I said,
Hmm.
ठीक है, हमको बंद करना है. But then I said, you tell me, you bring me some proof. Then only we can
Yeah.
do something. I'm just narrating a small incident. And then,
Very, very important. Very important.
so one day, like he went for a round in the night shift, and he collected something like 50 bottles, alcohol bottles. Okay. And when I came to the office, I saw all those 50 bottles on the table, my table. So he had kept all those bottles on my table. And he said, now you tell me what to do. Okay. You wanted the proof? This is the proof. So I said, okay, fine. You've done a good job. I said, do one more thing. I said, take all these bottles, arrange a table at the security gate before the shift starts. Okay. And keep all those bottles there. Right. So that people can see while coming all these bottles, and they will recognize, what is it all about.
Hmm.
And there was a pin drop silence in the factory. And then the next day we started frisking.
Hmm.
No opposition there.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So then, okay, there were a number of issues like, the union time off. They used to, take a lot of time offs, which we slowly stopped and all that. Okay. Simultaneously, we conducted the training sessions for the managers for handling the discipline. Because in any company, if you want to make the changes to the IR situation, it's very important to start with enforcing the discipline. Till that happens, till the time the right message is said, nothing can be done.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost step. And in the process, you need to get the buy-in of all the managers. You need to get the buy-in of the top management, because there's always a threat of, the work stoppage and all that. But we need to be really prepared by getting the consensus from everyone. And when the other party says that, like all these people are united, then they just don't dare to do the things which they are not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we started looking at the opportunities for the improvement in the work culture. So what are the inefficiencies, wastages? Okay. So we conducted the sessions with the shop floor managers and identified number of issues, because this is one thing which HR has to do. And that is why, like, I always tell my colleagues and team members that, if you want to succeed in HR or IR, you need to understand the business first. Okay. Unless you understand the business and speak the business language, no one will listen to you in the organization internally. So it was very important to take the shop floor routes, understand the issues, talk to the shop floor engineers, managers, and all that. So we identified number of issues. Okay, so we said like, okay, fine. I mean, the machines were automatic machines; they were automats,
Yeah.
and one person was working on one machine. So there's
Right.
something like, during the machine time, which used to be something like 20 minutes to 40 minutes or so, or sometimes more. Why can't people do some other things? Like,
Yeah.
why can't they, do some other task when the machine is on and when they don't
Yeah.
have anything? Either they can operate another machine or they can do some other task. So it's called
Yeah.
multi-machining, multitasking, and all that. So we identified the opportunities for multi-machining, multitasking, and then the business was such that it was cyclic business, I would say. There used to be, like ups and downs in the business, and during a short period of time, there used to be no work or less
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah.
we said, I mean, what do we need to do for this? So we said, okay, so one of my team members came with the idea of a block closure.
Block
Okay,
closer.
block closure. So that means like when you do not have work in the factory or when you have less work in the factory, you give the off to the people.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, maybe for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever actually.
Yeah.
So, that helps you to save the overhead cost because you need to run
Right.
the factory, right? But whenever we declare this block closure, we said that 50% of it should come from the leaves of the employees,
Right.
and a
Right.
50% company will bear. So there was a huge resistance to this concept. Okay, but then finally we got it through actually, and in the company where I worked uh, at a later stage, actually, there also we implemented all this. So the block closure, then the the non-core operations, like
Mm.
what I call non-core operations is something like transport,
Mm.
employee canteen, right?
Right.
Then the security as such,
Right.
or the stores operations and all that. So here all the regular workmen were working. I said, so
Yeah.
this is a waste of resource because this particular company like is in Pune for more than 50, 60 years. And it is one of the, I would say, they get the highest wages in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, sort of. So we said it's a waste of time and waste of resources to have the regular workmen in the jobs. So we said, no, we'll outsource these activities, but we will redeploy these people who are working on the jobs with the proper training and all that. Okay.
Okay.
There was again huge resistance to all this because people were comfortable in their jobs. But
Yeah.
finally we could achieve that. Okay.
Wow.
And so basically deployment of the regular workmen on the core jobs and outsourcing the non-core activities. I mean, so this can be done like in any company. Whenever you spot the opportunities,
Yeah.
of reducing the wastages or increasing the efficiencies. I mean, these are the things. Another thing is like there was a individual incentive scheme. That
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if I produce a particular quantity, I will get the incentive accordingly
Right,
as per
sir.
incentive scheme and all that. But what happens is like when you have let's say 10 workmen in the group, a particular group, and the group output matters rather
Right,
than
sir.
the individual output. So these individuals will produce different quantities, which will be of not help finally because the finished product which will go out of the factory, the quantity will be less,
Yeah.
right? And therefore we said nothing doing. I mean, we'll have the group incentive scheme, and so the output of the group will matter, output of the individual will not matter. And then we said what we decided on the parameters which we negotiated with the unions.
Right.
These are the few things actually which I mean there are many things which we could do, uh, but then we went ahead in doing this, and then we covered all this during the period of something like 4 years
Four
we signed
years.
we signed two wage agreements. Okay.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
all productivity linked wage agreements as such.
Mm-hmm. Sir,
Uh,
very insightful, sir. Very insightful. And I'm just reflecting back because I'm personally gone through some of these situations, and I was just seeing. I was picking the points which made all the difference in this case. So, audience, the first thing which I'm pretty sure you must have made out, and of course, sir has illustrated it so well. The idea is not to dilute it. I will just pick up a few points just to reinforce the ideas. First thing which sir shared is it's very important for the IR leader to have the kind of some kind of alignment, some kind of freedom, empowerment from the superior. That's very important. because the moment union leaders will come to know that there is a gap, they will use it to the best of their advantage. So sir got this clear empowerment because there was a leader who also was new and he wanted to transform. So if you have got a leader who is visionary, who is looking for change, your job becomes easy if you want to bring about a change. If you are looking for a leader who is absolutely relaxed and good with the current things, it's going to backfire. So I'm saying this based on some of these practicalities because this work.
I would just put a word of caution here. Okay, we should look for the leader who gives the empowerment, but at the same time, you should make yourself competent so that the leader should feel like empowering you.
Oh, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I was about to come to the second point.
Right.
This is what sir said is very important because then let's look at it from the leader's perspective, a managing director's perspective. Why should he trust his HR or IR person blindly? No, he will not trust. He will not trust unless he knows that the person is capable. So, before sir was hired for the company, he knew about sir based on his past credentials, the kind of work which sir had already done. And of course, in the previous conversation, we spoke a lot about competencies, learning, upgrading ourselves, and of course, we spoke about health and a lot of other things. So I think it's very important. The first thing which I always tell people is that it all starts from within us. It's all about us. We have to first build our competency to such a level that it becomes easy for people to trust us, to put it simply. And then empowerment comes, which is smaller part. Now, bigger part is the first interaction which you had, because I think everything has started changing from there. Now, why this person has started trembling? Because he got a feeling that he does not know what to do. He lost it. He was not in control, because it must have happened in the previous with the previous IR bosses, leaders, that maybe he threatened them and he could see that they are thinking of, they are not taking their decisions. They are the people who would run or who would like to approach somebody else for decisions. So they are not in control. They are not decision makers. And that's where for the first time when sir said that you have, this is my decision, I'm not going to accept it. And this is the first meeting. Normally, people want to be goody goody in the first meeting. You made it very clear. So I think you first, in the first meeting, you set the tone. You said that now they knew that they are talking to a leader, IR leader, HR leader, who takes his decisions. And I think some other examples actually validated it. When you ask the person in an instance to take out all the bottles and put it at the main gate, they knew that this person takes decision. He is not getting into huddle, discussing it with his colleagues and peers. So I think it's very powerfully said. What you said is, you also said one thing. What I've seen this happening is that in the team is very important, but in the team, if you get one good person, one or two good people, it becomes so easy. It's like a leader, and then you are there, and then you have got a team. At least one or two people are passionate. Otherwise, things become a little difficult because we shall take decisions and they will be taking their steps back, so things become difficult.
While,
Sir, we also see
yeah,
that. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. So while having your team or building your team, I always believed to have the people in my team who are smarter than me. Because if you get the people like who would only listen to you and who will not question you, your growth will not happen, their growth will not happen, the company also will not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always tell people that there is no reason for a leader to feel insecure, because see, if you take the example, in the same example, the managing director who had joined 6 months ago, who also had a person in HR who was smarter than him in his field, right? In this field, he was smarter, right? And I think a leader's job is to see that each team member is smarter in the field that the person is, and still the leader leads, right? He brings the team people together, shows vision, keeps on engaging with people. That's the job of the leader. What I have seen, sir, what I have seen happening with in many cases, that a leader gets down to the level of his team members, and then he is actually not doing what he's supposed to do. Would you like to share something on this?
Yes, certainly. I mean, there are many cases where, as you rightly said, I mean, a lot of people feel insecure, and if they feel, if their team members are smarter than them, then this particular manager may lose his job, or it may be a threat.
Hmm.
But then, like he's not only doing the harm to himself, but also is doing the harm to the organization in this particular situation. And the leader who believes in himself, the leader who's competent, and if he has the growth mindset,
Yeah.
then he would always look for the opportunity to do the job at a higher level,
Very true.
right? And for that, which he needs to prepare.
Very true.
Okay,
Very
for
true.
getting the job at a higher level, he will not get time to prepare if he is bogged down in the regular job and if he doesn't
Yeah.
empower his people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, unless you empower your people and unless you encourage them to, do some of the things actually, you will not get time to develop yourself for the higher roles,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
very, very important.
Very important. Very important. Another thing from this narration which you made, it's a very powerful narration. It is the fact that one has to ask some why situation has come to this level. Why is it so? And that's what you did in the first few days when they had boycotted and all that. You actually got into the details of challenges, which I could see, and I'm pretty sure audience also could have connected this. So why things have gone down to this level that there is no frisking allowed, there are a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unrest and all that, because there are basic issues, basic stones are missing, basic pieces of brick are missing, discipline is not there, business problems, a lot of wastages and this and that, right, sir? Unproductive work in which people are working and they are comfortably working and nobody is questioning, discipline is not there. So I think you just I can see it very clearly that you made a list of just a few things which were wrong in business, and for that one has to understand business very well, and then you start working on those basic foundations, and then brick by brick, as they say, Taj Mahal or whatever, stone by stone, Taj Mahal is built. So I think this is one perfect case of change management.
Right.
Anybody who wants to have a session on change management, just make the audience sit and just play this part of narration which sir made. This is perfect case of change management. How a leader who is looking for change, a team member who is taking courage, a team member who is taking decisions, and a team member who is also making the building the team. And I think the other thing which sir said.
I
And it's
mean,
brick.
yeah, sorry, please go ahead.
Please, sir.
No,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, okay, I mean, this part is important, but then one needs to work on the other part as well when it comes to the change management. So one has to work towards, creating the positive employee relations environment, right? So in the initial stage, you can take all these corrective actions, you can set the situation right, but you cannot be permanently in this particular
It
mode.
can't be.
Okay. And then what you need to do is like you need to do a lot of things to build this positive industrial climate. And it's first of all, it starts with the communication and transparency, because a lot of issues happen because of the lack of transparency.
Absolutely.
Now, when we talk about the communication as such, like what we did, we started the communication meetings with the workmen.
Yeah.
So lot of companies do the town hall meetings with the staff members and all that. But then the workmen generally, they say, I mean, nothing is going to happen. Also.
Zarurat nahi hai.
Yeah. But we started the quarterly communication meetings with the workmen, wherein we got the plant heads to address to the workmen.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Saying that, okay, what was the target for the last quarter? How's our achievement as against the target? What are the targets for the next quarter? What do we expect from the workmen? And so on. And sharing the information transparently with the people, with the workmen, about the targets, about the quality parameters, about the safety parameters. There are so many things to talk about.
Absolutely.
Right. And I mean, one has to have patience in all that, because you cannot expect the change in one or two meetings. You need to have a number of meetings actually. So getting then again, having the display boards on the shop floor.
Yeah.
Communicating on all these parameters. In short, there should not be any surprise to the workmen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Workmen or the employees. So you create that particular situation wherein, people feel that the organization is transparent.
Yeah.
And it's a long process. I mean, it doesn't happen in a year or so. One has to work persistently. Another thing is the respect and fair treatment. Okay. We have to respect. Okay, fine. I mean, once this initial period is over, you're enforcing the discipline and all that. You have to treat them as equals, right? And then, like, what I mean by saying treating them as equal is that getting their suggestions, right?
Yeah.
On the improvements on the shop floor.
Yeah.
Right? And there are many things what you can do actually to to show the respect, because the respect is something you just cannot say that, okay, I respect you, other person believes. You have to show it with your actions and all that. Then again, the employee involvement and participation in many activities that you can look at. you need to have the proper grievance redressal machinery for the uh, resolution of the grievances.
Grievance redressal, absolutely, absolutely, because things
Contract,
will keep
and
on happening. Yeah.
you mean that. Another thing is like compliance with the legal framework. Generally, the people respect you a lot. The workmen, the employees respect you a lot, or they respect the company a lot when they see the company is legally compliant and there are no
Absolutely.
shortcuts taken. And there are no shortcuts taken.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it gives a very powerful message that nothing wrong we are going to accept. Okay.
Mm.
Uh, and therefore, it's very important to like compliance with the legal frameworks. Then
Mm-hmm.
do the workman training. Okay. Then you need to start the activities for the employees' well-being and health.
Mm.
Start the annual health checkups, start the annual sports day, have the schemes for the scholarship of the workmen. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many things which you can do actually. And adherence to the collective bargaining agreements, I would say.
Yeah.
Once you agree on a particular clause and all that, you need to, ensure the adherence. Just because it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
suit you, you should not find the shortcuts not to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think these are few of the things that these are some of the things actually to build the positive employee relations climate. But again, as I said, it's a hard work, and
Yeah. Yeah.
one has to have a lot of patience, and it can be done only over a period of time.
Yeah, very, very well said, sir, and absolutely right. So initially when things are burning, you first douse the fire, and
Right.
that's the portion which we spoke of in the first narration.
Right.
And once we come to a situation where things have started stabilizing, then you start involving people, engaging people, inspiring people. Because in the last conversation, you spoke a lot on rewards and recognition
Correct,
also,
correct, correct, correct.
taking people to some, because that's very
Correct.
important. I recall, sir, I am just drawing a parallel while working in Tata Steel Limited. I spent a few years while working in the raw material division of Tata Steel. And there, when it was open cast mine. So when coal is mined, before coal is mined, you first take out the top layer, which is known as overburden. It's all rock, soil, and all that. And they used to take out, using heavy machines, they used to take out all these rocky pieces and put it there at a place where there was a heap of rock, which got, it was like a mountain of rock, a little hill of rock.
Correct.
And then what people did, they covered this entire thing with soil later on, and then they converted this into a beautiful garden where people used to go with their family.
Okay.
So what we're seeing here is that when things are bad, it's rocky kind of terrain. When you enter an organization, first you put it and then you cover it with the soil, and then you convert it into a different work culture where people
Different.
they enjoy. And I'm
True.
pretty sure that there must have been a day survey when all the employees, the same leader.
Right.
I'm pretty sure without even asking, without even you telling me, I can really imagine that the same union, some of the union members might have come and told you in different way. Maybe they might have gifted you something. They might have told you in different tones, in different ways that, sir,
Right.
that is the way. They must have respected you. So I think it's a journey. And I think you said it takes a few years. You're saying something, sir. Yeah.
Right. No, you said it rightly. See, finally, I mean, you need to have the productive relations with the union as such.
Yeah.
And with this respect and transparency, as you said rightly, I mean, all the companies I worked, the union finally gave me the farewells. Okay. I mean, when I left, the union also gave me the farewells, sort of. So there was nothing personal, and I still have very good contacts with all of them, actually. Like I worked in 4 or 5 companies, and then with all the union leaders, still I have a good contacts because they knew that okay, I am not doing anything, like against the individuals. It is for the company, and therefore, I mean, they took it in a right spirit. It takes time. They must have hated me quite a lot in the initial period as such.
Yeah.
But then slowly, when you start building the positive environment in the company, people do come, people do approach you, and then one has to be very empathetic. Like when people come to you with the issues, you cannot say, I mean, this is not as per the policy, or we cannot do this and all that. Certain cases, for example, okay, in one of the companies I worked like during COVID period, uh, we had I mean, it was a very bad period for everyone.
Yeah.
And then we had the medical scheme, which had a particular limit. So first of all, we declared that there will be no limit for the COVID treatment. Okay. There will be no limit for the COVID treatment. And then, like there was one unfortunate case. I would say, okay, I mean, he's recovered and he's very good now. But he had to go through the multiple treatments, operations, and all that. And
Mm.
the total medical expenses were to the tune of something like 35 lakhs. Okay, during that period, almost about 9 to 10 months or so. But then we
Mm.
took the call. No, I mean, COVID is something exceptional, and we should not restrict ourselves.
Right, sir.
Is like we lost 12 of our workmen, uh, unfortunately, during the COVID, due to COVID. But then we ensured that, like their families are given a very good compensation. I would like
Mm.
to mention
Mm.
the amount as such. Not only we took care of the treatment, but like the families were given a very good compensation, and wherever the employees' wives or children were employable, we gave them the employment as well.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and such gestures, of course, I mean, your management has to be with you in all these initiatives and all that. But I think HR has to take a lot of initiatives in proposing this, and then, so I would say that my team responded very well. In fact, the person who was heading the IR in my company, like during the entire COVID period, he was in office, right? He and the plant head, I mean, they were in the office throughout the period. I mean, they used to be the only two guys in the entire premises actually.
Wow.
And so they were available for whatever support the employees need. And this, I think, sent a very good message, and hats off to both the gentlemen. Uh,
Amazing.
yeah. So
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Sir, it's very insightful, sir. And I get a feeling that we can let this conversation go on for half a day at least, if not full day. It's close to 1 hour, and we shall request if you would like to share one another some such development, or else we can have the same next conversation as well. Because the
sure.
idea is to have the conversation and then also pick
Correct,
up some
correct,
threads so that people can
correct,
actually
correct,
build
correct.
it. And I think
So I'll
amazingly.
briefly, yeah, I'll briefly cover the another case of change
Sure, sir.
management. In my last company, like where I worked for almost about 17 years.
Yeah.
Now here again the situation was something different. Like
Yeah.
we had three companies, okay, of the group. One and then three companies and something like seven manufacturing plants. So out of which five manufacturing plants were in Maharashtra, and two were outside Maharashtra in the
Right, sir.
southern region. In the
Right, sir.
southern region. Each location has a different union. Okay.
So you had
Each
7 unions, sir.
correct. Each location has a different union. Uh, but all those unions, except one, were all internal unions, and again very strong unions.
Uh,
Again, when I started, the work culture was not very productive and all that. So the same story repeated actually.
mm,
Employee cost was typically high and all that.
mm.
So we went in the same sequence again, the enforcement of discipline, okay, getting all the stakeholders along and getting their buy-in for the change,
Yeah.
we're looking at. Again, ensuring the consensus from the senior leadership team, okay, and building a strong HR team, right?
Wow.
All this again we repeated. But then here, like I had a longer period, almost about 17 years to make the changes. Some of the changes we talked about in the HR area, like during
Right.
our last conversation. So here, like we signed something like 22 wage agreements in a period of 17 years. Okay,
Wow.
uh, with all these
Wow.
different unions. But the common thread was each settlement or each wage agreement will be productivity linked.
Mm,
So in the sense, like we gave the message that nothing will come free, right? And
mm.
always the negotiations will start with the the discussing the company expectations first.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
unless the company expectations are agreed, we would not start the discussion on the union demands as such. Okay.
Wow.
So like we used to calculate and tell them how much company will get due to this the productivity agreement and how much we can give you. So, like all these 22 wage agreements, where the productivity and in any organization, I mean, there are opportunities for the continuous improvement and all of that. Here again, we started the the concept of block closure at all the divisions again. Then we introduced one very unique scheme, which was called as the plant performance bonus.
Okay.
So this plant performance bonus, like if the plant achieves its targets for the year, I mean the targets could be the production quantities, the quality parameters, safety parameters, and all that. Then all the workmen would get a particular amount. Okay, as a plant performance bonus, and that amount is the part of what we agree during the wage agreement.
Okay.
So we started with a small thing, a small percentage as such, but that really continued in all the subsequent settlements as such. So idea was to have the cost neutral settlements by having the productivity linked wage agreements and all that. So
Awesome.
there are many things to share, but I mean, this is what
No,
is
this is wonderful, and of course we shall have another conversation as well, sir, after some time, because I can see one thing that in Pune I have especially seen one thing that all the unions are under one umbrella mostly. There are one set of people who guide all the unions. Why don't we create a group of IR professionals, leaders like you, sir, who have laid the signing off of 22 kind of plus long-term wage settlements, so that there is one umbrella group which helps people. There are younger, there are IR professionals who do not know at times how to handle the situation. And I think this is something which I'm just thinking, because I'm humbly saying I'm privileged to work very closely with Mr. Makran Deshpande sir, with you, with Sunil Kode sir, with some other people. And I see that there is a plethora of knowledge. There is a solution to all the problems which people might have faced or people do face. And audience, we have this heart-to-heart conversation only for one purpose, only with one purpose, and that is to just share some nuggets of some action-based wisdom which you can use to the best of your advantage. Having said that, I'll also personally recommend to you that if you feel like, please get in touch with sir, because sir, I think this is a great thing, no? Since you had 7 unions, you ended up signing 22 agreements. Had it been just one union in one factory, you would have signed only 3 years, right? So 5 or 6 agreements. So it's such a wide range of experiences which you have got. So people, why don't you get in touch with people like sir and get advantage of this knowledge which is sitting there in Pune, in Maharashtra, right? And there are thousands of companies here where people I see every day they're suffering, they're struggling, they're having problems. And I think in this one hour of conversation, we have got all the steps. And the steps which are missing, sir also spoke about those stages as well. The entire set of steps when it comes to change management, when it comes to building a great working culture. And I think, sir, let's think of this creating one group, because I think we are, I won't use that word, it's all a part of the same company. We are separately working separately, and they are unionized, centralized.
True.
So it's on a lighter note, but I think it's a sincere note as well. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I think there is one thing which we shall cover in another conversation, because I also noticed while listening to you that I got a very clear sense of courageous decisions which you took. Whenever I was spoken with senior people like you who have taken some decisions on their own, while actually having some risk as well on the way, it gets connected with your journey, starting from your childhood days. There are certain things which you have gone through which gives you that courage. And sir, I'm saying, I don't know whether there is any thread. I have seen this while talking to Sunil Kode sir, Makran Deshpande sir, you and some other people also. They all came from a very humble background. Most of these people came from villages where there was nothing. Even last conversation which I had with Mr. Bala sir, Sonavne sir, again coming from nothing. And then I think that gives you a character or strength which actually makes you stand while smiling against some of these people who actually want to.
You said it rightly, and I also come from the lower middle class background. I would say my father was a government employee.
Right, sir.
He is job was transferable, and then he used to go to different places. And but then, like for our education, he took the decision that my mother will stay with us, and then he would move and all that. Okay, so all the
Mm.
sacrifices which I seen during the initial period. Another thing is like the year in which I was born, actually there was a flood in Pune. Okay,
Oh.
so I was at my mother's place actually that time, and uh, the flood had washed away half of Pune then. Okay,
Mm.
this was
Mm.
quite some years ago, and like my father was in office at a faraway location, so he only survived along with his cycle. Okay, so everything like what he had was washed away.
Oh, oh.
And then thereafter, like for a long, very long period, we stayed in the government provided colony, I would say, for the flood affected people, right? And he had to build everything again. Okay, so I have seen the struggle and the sacrifices, and then what worst can happen. Okay, and that definitely, gives you a lot of courage, uh, ability to deal with the adverse situations,
Mm.
and so on. And like keeping on doing the things without expecting anything in return.
Mm.
Okay, so you will get the returns ultimately, but then if you start
Mm.
expecting something before doing a job, that's something which is not desired, I would say.
Mm-hmm. This also reminds me of my interaction with another person who actually he had a house, Wada kind of house in Latur in his village. And when he was a child, Latur earthquake happened, and then everything crashed. And
Right.
then they spent many days, many weeks, many months rather, while living in the farming area, while living in temporary shed.
True.
So I think it's very important for us to appreciate the fact that character is built not by living in five-star hotels and while getting everything on
Correct.
on just one price of a bill. Character is built while going through some experiences which shape you. And of course, and then it's all a matter of winning
Right.
mindset or
Right.
losing mindset. And of
Sure.
course, all the people that I have been privileged to talk to, they have this winning mindset. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And certainly we are going to have more conversation, but thank you so much for your time. And
Sure.
audience, do feel free to keep in touch with sir, be in touch with sir. I'll be sharing his email ID and some of the contacts because now, sir, now we are privileged that sir can work for multiple companies, which is a very important time, very important opportunity. And let's make the best to see that our companies prosper, our employees prosper, and our country prospers. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Arun. Thanks once again.